Hello, it's the 25th of July, and I've been up here for a while on this top field. I can tell you that it's very seldom I get out here and almost have all the herd laying down. They're separated from the sheep right now up here because I would never be able to keep the sheep in with this one wire, and so rather than introduce that extra management, I just have my cows up here. Part of the reason I have them up here is because I need them to clean these rows up. Didn't get over here, had this hay cut early. Those who don't have issues with an arid area to deal with, this cheatgrass and foxtail, not foxtail barley, but an annual foxtail. You can still see some of these cheatgrass heads. I tried to get this cut before anything actually set physiologically mature seed, just to try to keep it from going to seed. This is a management nightmare for me because there's very intermittent water from year to year on this. You don't know if you're going to have all your full share. It has to do with your water year. So this is an alfalfa field, but last spring, 2023 spring, I drilled in a bunch of other species with some clovers and different types of legumes and some grasses that were more drought tolerant. So now I'm just trying to manage through that, see if I can get those to establish. I've seen some of that stuff come up, but my main focus has been this house that you see down here. Until September, all my time's been spent on that. There's a new pump house to the left of that my boys and I have been working on building. That ran into a little bit more than what we bargained for. I've built plenty of lean-tos, plenty of chicken coops and small things, but to build something like that takes a little bit more time. And really that's all it is it's time. It's not any more complicated necessarily. And you can see that these cows, back to this subject, didn't do a great job of spreading this. I just didn't want it to be something that a custom guy who comes and cuts this hay, since I don't own a swather. I would literally have 50 acres here. There's no reason to have a swather, but so they wouldn't be balling up in the swather. But this is a lot of carbon laid down, so I don't feel bad about it. As long as I get one crop of hay off of this, then I feel pretty confident going into winter with the size of herd and flock that I have right now. And I've also got a center 11 acres that I haven't had for the past couple of years that I'll be able to kind of stockpile and graze it, or either graze it while I stockpile that lower pastures. But anyway, sorry about the wind. That covers the screen. But I haven't posted a video for a long time, mostly because my phone's camera that zooms in is blurry. It doesn't work decent. So, but I wanted to show you these animals lounging. This little bull right here, he's going to be my herd bull because he, and then this little guy right here, I might use him. And then I've got a bull back here. He's the first true black and white bull that I've had come out of this cow. Elsie. Well, I've named some of these, but I don't name them really anymore unless I name a bull because I have a small herd. But he's looking pretty good. He hasn't had really any issues that I can think of. He did have horns, so he's going to be. I'm going to get that test to see if he's got any kind of recessive pull trait in him. This cow's whining because her calf is back here. I don't want to move too quickly, but you can see her calf in the distance back here. The last video I posted, I think, was on Instagram. That calf was only literally less than an hour old, and that's my friend's calf, and it still acts like it's a day old or even less than a week because it's trying to find a place every time we go and hide. But anyway, anyways, you can see how I've got this fence so that I've got them concentrated here, and I want to show you my stock water system a little bit closer and in more detail. I know this isn't going to work necessarily for everybody, this kind of valve. One of the people I follow, one of the only channels I subscribe to, is really hates this kind of valve because they've had bad experience with it, and it was on a much different water setup than this. So the worst thing about this valve is the water level fluctuates, but it's low enough in the trough I've never actually had it overflow on me. But that's a Hudson valve there on a homemade bracket holding it there, so it will, the water when it comes up will shut that off. And then I've got some quick couples here. I like those just for ease of on and off. And that comes back to my power source, which is a solar panel I found at the landfill, and then a deep cycle battery. Then I've got a solar charger control unit here. You can see I've got 13 volts in my battery right now. And then I've got what's called this is a pressure switch, but it's a reverse pressure switch. So when I have no pressure, it turns on, and it turns off when I do have pressure. You can see how that would work better for a system like this. Because just think about that for 2 seconds if you need to. And then I've opted for my connections, for most of them, just to use regular plugs on wire, except of course to the battery. Just got some gated clips. But this system works pretty darn well. This was a low pressure reverse switch, I think 8 psi. You can adjust it to that low. So this hose literally only has 8 psi on it when that's shut off. So that runs through this so that I could, have a solid mount for my pressure switch. And then on the other side coming out of here from the power is my pump. And so this gets dropped down into my canal. As you can see right now, maybe you can vaguely see that underneath the water there. It's that orange pump. Got that off of Amazon. I've got 3 of these. When I first started buying them, I think they were $80. They're over 130, or right around there now. So that's a 12 or 24 volt pump that you just plumb up, with garden hose, plumb onto. It's got its own screen and filter system, but this is basically the way that I'm getting water to these livestock. I don't necessarily like them coming down this bank. They don't necessarily like to come down the bank because it caves it in and it's harder for them to get a drink. So I like to make it a little bit more convenient for them. It's a milkweed they've kind of hit. So you can see they do a really good job of cleaning things up. But I got their water here where I move them every day, and they're only on a small area. I don't opt to put my mineral source away from it. So there's one thing that really I've noticed, and I've done a little bit of research on this, and maybe some of you have seen this, but see this bull here, he's not going to be used as a bull because he's got a lame front foot. Every time I bring animals up here, every time, and you can see how it's swelled up, every time the exact same symptoms, and I need to see if I can figure this out. But the second you take them off of this, well, not the second, because it takes a bit to heal up, but when you take them off of this straight alfalfa, they heal up. And I have every time, and it's more prevalent in the calves, like the young stock, but I'll have 1 or 2 of them, maybe sometimes. I've never had more than 2 go lame, and it's always the front foot. It's always a front foot that goes lame. And it's kind of one of those things where it's almost like a refiner's fire. It's a bit of a test. If I have a bull that's limping like that, he gets lame, I won't use him because I want to be able to graze straight alfalfa for a little bit of the year. So I'm going to be turning my bulls in this Saturday. Normally I'd put them in on the 24th. That gives me May 1st potential calves, but just because of the cumbersomeness of it. My bulls are way down there. I'd have to pass them through 3 or 4 fences. I'm just gonna wait till they have this one here, this whole back section, north section of this, and then I'll put the bulls with these cows. But I am getting to the point where I'm getting calves that look like that, that are either a little bit red and white, or are red and white, I mean, or a little bit kind of black and white. The cool thing about this little bull, sorry to keep swinging you around, his eyes are blue. His eyes are still blue. This is the other bull prospect right here. To me, looks pretty good. He's got a bull looking head. He's out of a different sire than this guy back here is. So it mixes up the genetics a little bit. And I'm kind of thinking about using him maybe too. That other little red and white one that I showed you, he's more of a meat type. And I kind of want to keep that in my herd here because I'm trying to raise a kind of a dual purpose breed, a dual purpose animal for homestead use. This little girl here, I mean, she only probably weighs maybe 550 pounds, if even that. She'd be a perfect homestead size animal. And I'm going for something that's a little bit bigger than her, or I'm going to try to get uniform, something around 650 to 800 pounds for a full size. I think that'll give plenty of milk for the homestead. But that's kind of the goal here, and it's getting closer. So this is what I was going to show you here. So see this little heifer? She also, that's the second one. Same exact symptoms, that swollen front foot. And it gets pretty tender for them, as you can see. So I don't want to focus on the problems. I've never had any of them get skinny and die on me. They're still nursing. She's not taking any hurt, like body condition wise. She just got a lame foot. So I take note of these things and try to make sure I don't keep bulls out of them. So anyways, thought I'd bring you along today so you could see what I'm dealing with. I'm gonna keep progress for this field, and hopefully in the future we'll see a diversity with less of this annual type grass and more just grass alfalfa. So anyways, thanks for coming along. This is Solar Solus signing off.